Welcome to court. 7 years, all leading to one verdict. A verdict which you must decide. Is the defendant, Vera Misham, innocent or guilty? The courtroom doors are opening. The trial awaits. Are you ready to begin? Something inside me. Rising, surfacing. Something important. Lost long ago. It's close now. So close.
Court is now in session for the trial of Vera Misham.
The defense is ready, Your Honor.
Prosecution's ready to rock. Prosecutor Gavin, how is the defendant, Vera Misham's condition?
Acute throquinine poisoning. According to her physician, she could die at any time. Thus, her absence from the courtroom today. What? They can't put her on trial without her being here. It is unusual. They should wait for her to get better and do it then. It's so bureaucratic of them. That's being a little harsh. They can't delay the trial any longer. Or do they risk having no one left to try? A trial without a verdict can only cause grief. The records of this case and experience tell us this. Apologies to the defendant, but the show must go on. Right. If Farrah dies, the trial will be cancelled. I'm not going to let that happen. Mr. Wright told me everything that's been going on behind the curtain all these years. I'm going to get Vera her innocent verdict while there's still time.
Very well. Your opening statement, Prosecutor Gavin.
The prosecution's case is unchanged by recent events. Why did Vera Misham succumb to poison? Because she couldn't live with the guilt of what she done.
Objection!
But Vera was poisoned with a troconine. The exact same poison that took her father's life. What better confession could you ask for? Being the killer, she would have had access to the poison. Significant, since it's rather hard to come by.
That is true.
In other words, I see no need for further discussion. We could have had the verdict yesterday.
Well, Mr. Justice, if you have no objections, I see no reason to postpone a verdict.
What we need to worry about isn't the verdict, but the trial itself. The defense holds that Vera Misham is the victim, not the killer. If that's so, then you have to prove something. She was in court, giving her testimony before us. How do you propose her killer poisoned her? Oh, and incidentally, it would be nice if you told us who her mystery killer was.
The prosecution's objection is sustained. I ask the defense to prove its claims to this court. Tell us how Vera Misham was poisoned.
I've got 2 things to prove here. Who did it and how? Which to hit first? How did the killer poison Vera Misham? I will focus first on the method used.
Any comments before we begin, Prosecutor Gavin?
Not the bodily container of the poison was found in the defendant's body.
I see. So the vector of poisoning is unknown. Is the defense prepared to prove how the poison reached Vera Misham?
Yes, Your Honor.
Very well. What method was used to poison Vera Misham? What's this? My, what a beautiful bottle. I'd like to give whoever designed that a hand.
Is that nail polish? It's colorless. Ah! Something the matter? No, nothing. Nothing at all.
So the killer put poison in this bottle and made her drink it?
As Prosecutor Gavin has told us, this is nail polish.
Nail polish?
It's like paint for nails. Know any women with red nails?
Ah, my wife has red nails. I see. So she's been painting them all this time.
Let's recall yesterday's trial. Remember when Vera was testifying to the court?
Court is now back in session.
Vera seems pretty tense. She's practically chewing her fingernails clean off. Whenever Vera became nervous, she had a habit of biting her nails.
Her nails? Ah!
Prosecutor Gavin, when the prosecution had Vera examined, did they check her nails?
Bailiff, have them check the defendant's nails at once. Mr. Justice.
Yes?
Do you know who did this? Do you know who put poison in that nail polish?
Yes. That bottle belongs to Vera Misham? Why do you ask? Know someone else who might have a bottle like this? No, just checking.
Mr. Justice, you are about to accuse someone of poisoning that bottle of nail polish. Please dispense with the chatter. You realize the weight of this accusation. Here, let me show you.
Understood, Your Honor. No problem. I know what I'm doing this time.
Then let us ask, who poisoned Vera Mission with her nail polish? What's this? Christoph Gavin?
Objection!
What's your game? My bro, there's no way he could do a thing like that. You should know that better than anyone else.
Indeed. He is behind bars.
I know. However, that doesn't mean it was impossible to do what he did. What? Ask yourselves when he put the poison in the bottle. It could have been yesterday. It could have been a month ago. Maybe it was a year ago. Or perhaps it was 7 years ago.
But Christoph Gavin had no motive for killing this poor girl. It's simply inconceivable.
Prosecutor Gavin doesn't seem to think so. That face tells me one thing. Christoph Gavin's own younger brother doesn't find it inconceivable at all.
Well, Prosecutor Gavin, if you feel there is a clear and pressing need, then we may have to summon Christoph Gavin from jail as a special witness.
Fine. I've known for some time that an impenetrable darkness lurked at the bottom of this. A darkness that has swallowed even myself. Okay, the defense's wish is granted. Let prisoner Christoph Gavin take the stand.
Bailiff, begin proceedings to call a special witness. The witness is Christoph Gavin, currently residing in solitary cell 13 at Central Prison.
Ah, Your Honor. How nice to see you again.
It's been quite a while, hasn't it?
To what do I owe the pleasure of your company? It's not every day I'm summoned from my solitary cell. In fact, it's never. I think you already know, Mr. Christoph Gavin. Ah, Mr. Justice. I hear you've been doing quite well for yourself. Why do I feel like somehow he's still my boss? Stiff upper lip, Apollo. You can do it. Does this bottle look familiar? Aridoni nail polish? Why, yes, I used it myself. As did the late defendant, I hear. She's not dead yet! And, was there something concerning this bottle you wish to ask me about? I admit I respect her for her taste in nail polish. Her taste, indeed! This nail polish was how Vera Mission was poisoned! A crocodile, was it?
You're well informed about the case, Mr. Gavin.
Even in solitary, much comes to my desk, and I have nothing to do but read. Well, Clavier? Maybe you can explain this? You're being accused again. By him. Again. Ah. And? You agree with his accusation, do you?
Let's hold a proper trial, shall we? Christoph Gavin, your testimony, please.
I'd be delighted.
The charges against you are quite severe, Mr. Gavin. You are suspected of the poisoning of the defendant, Vera Misham. Please testify on this matter to the court.
Owning of the same nail polish is not a murder in make. I have been in solitary confinement for half a year. How could I poison her? Her father died of the same poison, the meaning of which should be clear. The prosecution's case holds. She poisoned her father, then attempted to poison herself. Surely you aren't going to suggest I was responsible for poisoning her father, too?
Well, I'm afraid the defense's claim is sounding rather unlikely.
Naturally. For one, I don't even know the Mishams. Isn't that so, Mr. Justice?
Very well, Mr. Justice. Please begin your cross-examination.
I'm accusing Kristoff Gavin, my ex-boss. But I know he poisoned the Mishams. The question is, when could he have done it? Not to mention, why? Owning the same nail polish does not a murderer make. I have been in solitary confinement for half a year. How could I poison her? Her father died of the same poison, the meaning of which should be clear. The prosecution's case holds. She poisoned her father, then attempted to poison herself. Surely you aren't going to suggest I was responsible for poisoning her father, too. It was you who killed Drew Misham. A bluff worthy of your new mentor, Mr. Wright. Oh, really? But you see, I saw it. Right when you said her father, too. Your hand tensed unnaturally, and a little devil appeared to give me the news. And let's assume for the sake of argument that you saw me being tense. What does that mean? Are all tense witnesses guilty? And tell me, was Drew Misham fond of nail polish, too? Sorry, but there's more than one way to poison a man. You don't need nail polish to get to someone's mouth. Ah. Then I must be very talented indeed. You see, Drew Misham was killed on October 6th, while I was already in my solitary confinement cell at Central Prison. If that's not an alibi, then I don't know what is. But you found a way all the same. And I found it too. This is how you poison Mr. Misham. I'm sure this commemorative stamp requires no introduction. The night Mr. Misham died, he was seen writing a letter. A crocodile was found on the stamp, Mr. Gavin. So am I to understand this stamp was the murder weapon? Yes, you are. Oh, and yes, this stamp was found in your prison cell. That is all, Your Honor.
Order! 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 For poison on the back of that stamp!
After Drew Misham was killed, someone paid a visit to this witness's cell. Phoenix Wright. Daddy? That's when he found the stamp. You made Drew Misham write you a letter. That's how you killed him. What? My. You've upset my poor brother to the point of uselessness. Allow me to clarify this matter, Justice. All you need to do is recall witness Spark Bristle's testimony. Well, that's the thing, see? After he put his letter in that envelope, Mr. Misham sat there searching his desk drawer for something. His desk drawer? Yep, a stamp, a so-called postage stamp, end quote. He was looking for a stamp. Ergo, he had no intention of using this stamp. What are you getting at? What I'm arriving at is that this commemorative stamp was in a frame. It was a mere coincidence that he used it that night.
That would seem to be the case.
Or perhaps you mean to suggest that I can somehow manipulate coincidence.
He does have a point. How would this witness know if the victim was going to use that stamp? Without that, he couldn't have planned the murder.
What? Really, Clavier. You should be seeing through these weak-spined bluffs by now. He's right, though. How could anyone have known Mr. Misham would use that stamp that night? Least of all, Kristoff Gavin locked away in his cell.
Well, it seems that the defense has run out of things to say.
You assume he had something to say in the first place. I believe the defense's bluff has been called. The defense's bluff? I'm not sure I agree with you there, Kristoff. Clavier? Honestly, I wanted to believe you. But the defense wasn't trying to get away with the bluff. You were, Kristoff.
Well, what are you saying? Prosecutor Gavin?
Air forehead. What was your accusation again? Oh, it was that this poison stamp killed Mission, yeah? To which my brother responded thusly. There was no way to know when Mission would use that stamp.
Yes, that's right. Which is why it couldn't have been planned.
Tell me, it needs to be planned. Why? Why couldn't it have been a coincidence? The defense's case is simply that Mission died by that stamp. That's all.
Coincidence?
Kristoff, you tried to slip out from under this accusation by changing the subject. If that's not bluffing, what is it? What are you up to, Clavier? I can ask you the same question, Kristoff. I silenced the defense with the fewest words possible. It's called efficiency.
But Mr. Gavin, that's impermissible testimony.
Very well. I shall take his claim head on then. Justice.
What?
You accuse me of Mission's murder, yes? Then, allow me to ask you. What possible reason could I have to kill a painter?
Apollo, motive. He's talking about a motive. Indeed. It's hard to see how an attorney could come to want to kill a painter.
Now here's something. Why didn't he bring up the motive from the very beginning? Unless he was afraid it was a battle he might lose. So, what does it mean? It means there might be a weak spot. Maybe I have some evidence to prove a motive.
A motive for murder. This is a vital, if not the most vital element in this case. Please consider this when making your statement.
I'd say it's about this vital.
That's pretty vital. Well, Mr. Justice,
I'm going through with this no matter what.
Understood, Your Honor. I'd like to present evidence. Then let's see what you have for us. What reason did Kristoff Gavin have for wanting to murder Drew Misham?
Kristoff Gavin's motive becomes clear when we consider why the stamp came to Drew Misham's studio in the first place.
And why was that?
Forgery, Your Honor. Go back 7 years. Drew Misham accepts his first job creating forged evidence.
I've seen that before. A page from a diary, wasn't it? Matthew Gregory's diary.
Ah, when Attorney Phoenix Wright lost his badge, yes. This was the evidence he presented to his loss. This evidence is a fake, yes. But did Mr. Wright request the forgery be made? That was never proven.
Objection!
The defense attorney on that case was Phoenix Wright. Who, other than him, drunk with the prospect of victory, could have done it? And why would they? Just out of curiosity, do you remember this letter? This is the first page. And this is the second.
Those were presented in court yesterday. This letter was sent to Drew Misham by the client who requested that forgery.
The enclosed stamp was none other than the poisoned commemorative stamp. Drew Misham drew his last breath just the other day. However, the motive for his murder was already 7 years old. 7 years old. The client who requested this forgery was very cautious. He tried to erase anything and anyone with connections to the forgery
to keep them from talking.
But he made a mistake. The stamp was a picture of my favorite magicians, so I kept it. Father took me when I was very young. It was a great magic show. I loved it so much. The killer's time bomb was delayed. The poison stamp was sealed within a glass frame, where it sat for 7 whole years. Air forehead. Do you understand what you're telling us? The one who schemed at the forged diary page was the one who poisoned the stamp. And it was Phoenix Wright who presented the forged evidence 7 years ago. Adding the two statements together, the one who schemed to kill Drew Misham was none other than Phoenix Wright.
Objection!
Sorry, but that's not how this is going to go down. Oh, then how will it go down? I checked through the records on that case when I found this. 7 years ago, just before the trial began. Oh boy. Here. What's this? I don't know. I just got it over there in the hall. They told me to give it to the old boy in the blue suit with the spiky hair. And one more thing. I'm sorry to have sprung this on you so suddenly. I received the files from your previous attorney only yesterday. I understand I am asking the impossible of you. Yes, well, you haven't really told me what happened yet. All we did was play cards. And that was enough. Phoenix Wright was put on the case the day before the trial started. He didn't have time to request a forgery. The day before? Now here's the question. Just who was Shiny Nigmar's previous defense attorney? No, this can't all be. But it is all true. There was another man, a defense attorney with a badge on his collar. It was you, Christoph Gavin! Order! Well, what is the meaning of this? Witness, I mean defendant, a former lawyer? Let me begin by denying this. Objection! It's easy enough to look up, Mr. Gavin, and impossible to prove if you can't. Attorneys are registered with the court the day before the trial begins. In other words, no record remains in the court. How exactly did you intend to prove Phoenix Wright's claim?
That would be difficult. I'm afraid this line of inquiry won't yield.
Objection! At a forehead. Are you sure you don't have evidence? What's wrong with Prosecutor Gavin? He looks clammy. Evidence! Evidence that shows this man, Christoph Gavin, requested that forgery 7 years ago. Clavier? Just prove it! Clear up these doubts now, or I swear I'm off this case! He must have thought of some evidence, Apollo. Prosecutor Gavin looks like he's in physical pain. That darkness. I have to pull that darkness out of him, and proof is the only way I can. What proves Christoph Gavin's link to Drew Misham?
Well, Mr. Justice, you claim Christoph Gavin requested a forgery of Drew Misham 7 years ago. Prove it.
It can be proven. Simply ridiculous. Why even discuss it? This evidence does not... Objection! Are you telling the truth, Apollo Justice? I am. Then, I say we give him the benefit of the doubt.
Very well, but if you're wrong about this, be prepared for a penalty.
Objection! Your Honor, you do the defense an injustice. Mr. Justice is clearly passionate about his claim. Should the penalty not match his passion?
I haven't given a penalty like that in a long time. Well, Mr. Justice?
Fine, Your Honor. All I have to prove is any kind of link. Something that ties Christoph Gavin or Drew Misham. And I have something that clearly does the job.
Very well, Mr. Justice. Present your evidence. Show us the link between our witness and Drew Misham.
This evidence proves there's a link.
Objection!
That scrap of paper. I'm afraid I can't let you submit that. Is there some problem? There is. How could you possibly have that? You couldn't. Hey, that's Daddy's handwriting.
Mr. Wright's handwriting? What is the meaning of this?
Ah, I see now. Yes, of course.
What do you mean, of course?
I just remembered I had a visitor yesterday. Phoenix Wright came to my cell, except I wasn't there. Phoenix Wright. When I returned, I saw he had something of mine in his possession. Of course, I had no intention of letting him get away with reading my private mail.
Mail? You mean this letter was in your cell?
No. However, it appears Mr. Wright has yet to be cured of his bad forging habit.
Well, if it's a forgery, it's not a very good one. The handwriting's terrible.
This is Mr. Wright's reproduction of what was written in the real letter.
Reproduction?
When Mr. Wright visited Christoph Gavin's cell, He brought with him a small video camera. What? He recorded his entire conversation with you, Mr. Gavin. And the contents of your personal mail. Regardless, this mockery of piece of evidence will never be accepted by the court. Evidence based on a video a man with no authority whatsoever claims he took. A man who happens to be an ex-attorney suspected of forgery. Prosecutor Gavin? Prosecutor Gavin? As embarrassing as this is for me to say, I'm afraid my brother is incapable of making rational judgments at the moment. Your Honor, your decision, please.
The defense's claim is denied.
What?
Only actual evidence is permitted in a court of law. Please remove the defense's evidence from the record.
Better luck next time, Justice.
Well, we've certainly taken a detour from our cross-examination, but the defense appears to be lacking proof. I'm forced to end the cross-examination of Christoph Gavin at this point.
Apollo, do something!
I'm thinking, but
without evidence, I don't have anything I can use on him.
Very well. This ends a special witness's cross-examination.
The show's over, yet the crowd screams for more. Only now do I understand why.
Prosecutor Gavin?
Frankly, I'm relieved. This has been bothering me for 7 whole years, and I'm tired of the whole youthful angst scene. Now's our chance. Let's clean out the family closet, eh, Christoph? Clavier, you're spinning out of control. Calm yourself before you say something you'll regret. Spinning out of whose control? Mine or yours? Take a moment to consider everything you've built. Your reputation as a prosecutor, your fame with the masses. You could lose it all, Clavier. Apollo, you see that? He's trying to press Prosecutor Gavin. Prosecutor Gavin, try to remember what's really important to you. You amuse me, Airforehead. I couldn't forget what's really important to me even if I tried. In fact, I haven't. Not even once. 7 years ago. Finally. You just couldn't resist, could you? Right. Resist what? Presenting solid evidence? My thought request to put the current cross-examination on hold. The prosecution would like to call a new witness. State your name and occupation for the record.
I'm familiar with the trial. I've watched the video several times.
Didn't you find anything unnatural about it?
Unnatural?
Well, you did seem unusually well prepared.
I mean, Mr. Wright had only just presented his evidence. And the next moment, you call into remission.
It was almost as if... what? Funny, it didn't even occur to me to wonder. But now that I do, I see that there's only one possible explanation. Almost as if, from the very beginning, you knew Mr. Wright was going to present that evidence.
Ah!
Correct. I knew that if I applied the usual pressure, Phoenix Wright would eventually come up with that forged diary page. Don't do this, Clavier. I knew because you told me, Christoph. What? It was the night before the trial. Clavier.
Christoph,
I'll see you at the prosecutor's office the day before the trial. I won't be appearing in the trial, actually.
Huh? Why not?
I won't be facing off with you in your first trial, apparently. But in exchange, I brought information.
Information?
The attorney who will be there in my place tomorrow is not to be trusted. Don't even give him the benefit of your respect. Listen, I want you to call on a special witness. Then, I wondered about it at the time. How did Christoph know so much? Prosecutor Gavin. Christoph. We were supposed to face each other in that trial. A A fair fight, brother to brother. I deserved that much. You let me borrow the victim's belongings. You showed me all your research on the case. The victim's belongings? Which would have included Magnifi's diary, wouldn't it?
Mr. Gavin?
My, Clavier. You disappoint me. You find trees, yet miss the forest.
You're the one missing the forest, Mr. Gavin.
You can't sweep this under the rug. Not anymore. Tell me what was going on behind that trial. Why not? I've achieved what I came here to do. I see no harm in a little reminiscing.
Apollo, I think we're finally going to shine a light on the dark belly of this thing, Trucy. We've done everything we could. I hope it's enough.
7 years ago, the day before the trial, I visited the detention center at the request of my client, Zach Gramery.
2 guards.
1 card.
Showdown time. Enough. You lose, Gavin. Thanks for the work. Now go.
To be honest, I don't know what his reasons were to this day. As far as I could tell, he dismissed me as his representation because I'd lost in a game of poker. I can come to no other conclusion. Daddy used to say something. If you want to know a man, you have to compete.
Zach wasn't watching his points or the cards. He was watching the man behind the cards, Christoph Gavin.
I couldn't believe it. Phoenix Wright? A second-rate attorney who relies on luck and bluffs. He dismissed me and went with that pitiful excuse for a man. He deserved to die for that error alone.
Hold it! So the one who requested that forgery was...
Oh, I'm not admitting to anything. My point is, these 2 men shamed me and I could not forgive that. Phoenix Wright and Zach Gramery both deserved what they got.
So you asked Mr. Mission to forge that evidence, so you could win. But then, when you were dismissed as Zach Gramery's attorney, you used your forged evidence as a trap. You fed me information about that forgery you made. Then you gave your dirty evidence to him.
You're free to imagine what you will. My point is that all I had imagined came to pass. Everything went perfectly.
Incredible. If I wasn't laughing, I'd weep. Prosecutor Gavin?
Perfectly. You're mad, Christoph. Stop fooling yourself. What are you talking about, Clavier? Tell me, how did that trial end?
Cancelled, when the defendant vanished.
Ah, I get it. So, Christoph, you've been living in fear for 7 years.
What? You were afraid your forgery would be revealed and your reputation trashed. You couldn't leave things to chance. So you watched everyone involved with the case for 7 years.
You know, he always felt like he was being watched. That's what he said. Every day for 7 years. But I felt it too. Journalist Shuri is being watched, end quote. Don't you wonder why Zach Gramery got rubbed out after 7 years? Right after coming into contact with me?
Well, wait just a minute. Zach Gramery was seen by this reporter? How is that possible? Was he alive after being gone 7 years?
Finally. I knew this moment was coming. I just didn't think we'd get here so fast. Zach Gramery, gone missing for 7 years. Trucy's father. What's wrong, Apollo? Go get him! Right. Leave it to me. Allow me to refresh the court's memory. 6 months ago, Christoph Gavin was charged with murdering a mysterious traveler.
I remember him quite well. Charlie Smith, was it?
Poisoned in a Chinese restaurant. Tragic. The details don't really matter right now. What matters is, that traveler was Zach Gramery! What is it, Apollo? Huh? Keep going. We'll talk about it later. Did
She already know? Someone please explain this. Mr. Justice, can you explain this? It all started 7 years ago. The great magician, Magnifique Remery's death started it. Magnifique Remery's death and his student, Zach Remery, the suspect. Whoever defeated and did Zach in court successfully will be famous beyond belief. Thinking that, Christophe Gavin did the unthinkable. He forged evidence. Through omission. Actually, it was his daughter, Vera, who really did the work. You took precautions when you had that forgery made, didn't you, Mr. Gavin? Precautions? To keep people from talking, of course. These two know too much. Leave them alive and there'll be nothing but trouble. That's when you planned in here a poisoning of the forgers. A troconine. Applied to a commemorative stamp. But luck was on Mr. Misham's side. The bomb didn't go off. His daughter. She saved him by taking the stamp. I see. But that wasn't the only bomb he set up. The Airy Thorny nail polish, of course. You noticed something when you requested that forgery. When Vera Misham is nervous, she has a bad habit. A tendency to bite her nails. Ah! That nail polish was her good luck charm. She was almost kidnapped once. Since then, she's been, well, you can see for yourself. She refuses to leave the house. That person gave me a good luck charm for when I absolutely had to go outside. It protects me. Yes, apparently she received something, a gift. She won't tell me what it was. It was from that client, the one who wanted that note made. It was his insurance. Insurance? As long as she lived quietly at home, there was no danger to her. But what if she had to go outside? If she ran into any trouble, she'd become nervous. And the nail polish would do the rest. His time bomb sat there for 7 years, and then it went off almost simultaneously. If you're finished, may I return to my cell now? I'm not accustomed to standing for such long periods of time. Mr. Gavin, have you heard a single thing we've said? Oh, I listened quite closely to your little tale. Quite an entertaining piece of fiction. What? Clavier, surely you understand. We're back to the evidence. The lacking evidence. Nothing proves the link between him and the Atroconine that took True Misham's life. Objection! What about the restaurant? You killed Zach Remery to keep him from talking. I killed no man of that name. Read over the report again if you'd like. The victim was a traveler by the name of Shoddy Smith, about whom we know little else. You can't seriously think I knew he was that particular fugitive. Objection! Okay, then why did you kill him? I plead my right to remain silent. Remember, this court did not convene to put me on trial. The defendant's name is Vera Misham, suspected in the murder of her father. My trial has been finished for 6 months now. I'm afraid we have strayed considerably from our purpose here. This court concurs with the witness. It is defendant Vera Misham who was on trial here. No, but you were doing so well, Apollo. As long as there is no evidence to support the accusation against him, this course of inquiry cannot find Vera Misham innocent. Objection! Your Honor, Phoenix Wright spent 7 years collecting this evidence. Objection! You still don't get it, do you? Let us assume there was poison in the nail polish. Who then was responsible for causing Vera Misham to bite her nails? Well, what? It wasn't me, I know that much. The one who brought that poison to her lips was you. What? Evidence is everything. There is nothing more. I believe this discussion has reached its conclusion. Your Honor! Mr. Justice, you have performed admirably well for a novice attorney. I respect your partner, Phoenix Wright's determination as well.
However, without direct proof, you have nothing. Isn't that right, Clavier?
Unfortunately, yes, Kristoff, you're right. That is, you would have been right until now.
What?
Did the news not reach your desk in solitary? The eyes of the nation are on this courtroom today. This is the trial case for a new judicial system. That's right. I totally forgotten. The juris system! Jurists, you say? The current judicial system has been deemed too closed off from society. This new system attempts to inject the wisdom of common citizens into the law.
Common citizens? Wisdom?
Is this some kind of a joke? What could we possibly gain by doing this? Entrusting our judicial system to a mindless, emotional mob of irrational mouth breathers? Common citizens have something called common sense. Common sense is not restricted by the law. Nonsense! There's only room for two in this court. Me and the law. Keep the riffraff out. Out, I say! They're not in the court, actually. They're watching everything by video camera.
How can you allow this?
Incidentally, the one responsible for making this happen was Phoenix Wright.
Phoenix Wright! So, everything was leading to this, of course. Right. 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 Right! I won't accept! I can't accept! This is no court! Law! The law is everything! Law is absolute! You legendary swine soiler courts! Kristoff, it's over. Clavier! The law is absolute. You can't be serious. What? Odd. I thought you spent your life looking for loopholes. The law isn't absolute. It's filled with contradictions.
The law is the end product of many years of history, the fruit of human knowledge. Like a gem, polished to a gleam through trials and errors. It is this fruit we receive and pass on and face in our time. And it is always changing, growing. Nurturing it is our task as human beings. Except for you, Kristoff. You aren't changing. You've stopped. You're not needed anymore. I couldn't think of anything to say. Maybe because I still haven't seen enough. But someday, I'll know what law is. And I'll fight to change it if I have to. I see no need to further prolong this trial. This began as the trial of Vera Misham, accused of murdering her father. The painter drew Misham. However, several other incidents were reviewed, and we seem to have reached a conclusion. Before this court declares a verdict, I await your decision. Jurors of the court, for the death of Drew Misham, how do you find the defendant Vera Misham? Innocent or guilty? I turn to you now to consider this matter. This ends the trial for the case. Only the verdict remains to be decided. Defendant Vera Misham is currently in intensive care. If a decision cannot be reached today, it may never be reached. The factors involved are simple. Did the defendant poison her father that night? If so, she is guilty. Or was there another reason for Mr. Misham's death? Did another person poison him? If so, she is innocent. A panel has been provided for each of you to input your decisions. That is all. Please, wait. Yes, jurist number 6? There's something in the jurist handbook here. Persons involved with the case may not be jurists. That is correct. I've looked into all your dossiers. None of you were involved with the development of the case. With the development of the case. I see.
Does that answer your question? It's time for your verdicts. Make your decision in the case against Vera Misham. After 7 years, the truth is ready to be heard. Judge wisely, judge well. And so a verdict was reached on October 9th, 2:14 p.m. The first verdict under the jury system. Innocent by unanimous decision. The record will show that when the verdict was announced, special witness Christoph Gavin laughed. A laugh louder than any ever heard before or since. A laugh that echoed in the halls of justice, lingering for what seemed like hours. October 10th, 8:30 a.m., the morning after the trial, in an intensive care ward, a true miracle occurred. Vera Misham opened her eyes. Vera, I'm so glad. Don't cry, Apollo. I'm happy too, and proud. You did well, Apollo. When I thought about what if Vera, Hey now, don't you start crying too. Sorry you had to see us like this. Vera. Thank you so much. Apollo, thank you. No, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have pressed you like that. If I hadn't, you never would have bitten your nails. No, I was wrong. Staying locked inside like that, clinging to my good luck charm. Vera. When I opened my eyes and saw you, I finally understood. It's important to be a part of the world. To see things with your own eyes. It looks like that poison had some effect after all. It killed off whatever was holding Vera back from life. I knew you'd pull through, Vera. I mean, that's what Apollo was fighting for the whole time. Your future. I won't forget it. Here, let me thank you. No, really, it's okay. Ooh, look, it's me! I love it! Thanks! Is that me? She really captured your essence, Apollo. Well, I think so, at least. That reminds me. Do you know where the other lawyer is? The other lawyer? Oh, you mean Daddy? Except he's not a lawyer anymore. It's my fault, isn't it? I'm sorry. Oh, no, that's not what I meant. No, it's okay. I'm through looking away from the things I've done. I hope I can look him in the eyes again someday and apologize. I'm sure he'd be happy to hear that. He brought all those things for me when he came to visit earlier. You mean that stack of videos? Mr. Wright finished watching them all? You know, I knew my real daddy was alive. Huh? I was there 7 years ago, remember? I was the one who helped him vanish from the courtroom. You did... How? I'm not telling. He promised me that day he went away. We may not meet again for some time, Trucy. But know this, I will be watching, and one day I shall return. You are the next Gramarye, after all. Oh, Trucy. In the end, he couldn't keep that promise, could he? It's okay. Phoenix is my daddy now, even if he can't really play the piano. That he can't. Oh, and I've got you too, even if your voice is kind of loud sometimes. Glad I made your list. Hey, come to think of it. Where is Daddy, the one who can't play? Do you know Apollo? I think he said he had to meet someone. I wonder. Maybe it's a new mommy. Oh, Trucy. Yes, Vera? I was wondering, could you show him to me once more? Sir Hat, was it? Oh, he's not been knighted. Yet. Here he goes. Do us an impersonation, Mr. Hat. Objection! Ahem.
Not loud enough, and I like Mrs. Magic underwear better anyway.
That's magic panties, Apollo!
So, your memory's returned.
Mr. Wright, was this all a part of your plan too?
I don't know what you're talking about.
When I lost my memory, I was reborn as Lemiror, but you knew my true identity, did you not? That is why you chose me as one of your jurists.
Ah, you're thinking into it too much. Besides, there was no guarantee that regaining your memory would make you happy.
Of course it is a happy thing. For so long, I thought I was alone. But now I know I have children. 2 dear children. I'm so proud of them. This, too, I think, is thanks to you.
Are you going to tell them?
Did you not know?
Nope. They don't know their mother. They don't even know their siblings.
I will go to them when the time is right. Until then,
Don't worry, I'll take care of them for you. They're very important to me, too. A little annoying at times, but still. I have to keep an eye on her, at least. Because I'm the only one who knows how she really feels on the inside. Your bracelet.
Yes.
I've seen a lot of mysterious things these past 7 years. But your bracelets were the strangest of all. I remember meeting him, half a year ago now, in Christoph Gavin's office. And then I met you. 2 fates destined to intertwine, and I was there when they crossed. I'll never forget that.
Such a small thing, that bullet, yet it tore who I was away. "10 years ago, during a simple rehearsal. It was a miracle no one died, but I didn't survive that accident. That is why I left the troupe, my family. Now my memory is returned. I am myself once more. For the first time, I am glad to be alive, Mr. Wright."
Speaking of miracles, Vera Mission regained consciousness this morning. I can only hope she's as glad as you are.
It is a strange thing, fate. Sometimes a life is taken, sometimes a life is spared.
You know what I've been thinking? People don't die that easily, really. As long as they've got something worth living for. And that's pretty much the end of my story, for now anyway. I've still got a long way to go, and this power of mine, well, it needs some work. But there's hope now. We'd lost it, but somehow we found it again. That's why people are smiling again. Hope. Yeah, I think I'll keep at this lawyer thing for a while. Oops, training time. Gotta go. Court of Steel, here comes justice. Objection!
I'm glad you're staying with the agency, Apollo. It's like I found my long-lost big little brother. Oh, and don't you worry about Troop Grammary. Trucy's on the case. Now that I have this, thanks to Daddy.
Trucy Grammary? Frankly, I got my doubts. But Hat Grammary, now that'll pack 'em in. It's not every day you get the trial that rocks harder than one of our gigs, yeah? That's why it's over. The Gaviners are breaking up. The news caused a run on tissues at supermarkets nationwide. You're the real stars now. I look forward to our next jam session. Well, it's finally over. You know, thinking about it, I've been a piano player longer than I was a lawyer. Now that everything's sorted and I've got time on my hands, maybe I'll take some lessons. Or maybe I'll take the bar exam again.
So, I was standing around, eating snackoos the other day, when I got this crazy idea. What if they were golden? You could augment the crunch, or better yet, make them ding. Ah, the power of science. Although the preservatives might not be 100% safe. In an unlucky event you are wanting to rush to feast, come to Borscht Board Club. The only thing colder than restaurant is borscht. Da, but if greater talent is being required, then come to the hideout. You know who to ask for. So, Kentucky Pastries is getting back to its Eastern roots. Spread the culture and all. Yo, boss, culture time! This is how we write root, capiche? But we're still about giving back to the people. Yo, boss, PR time! And this is how we write people, alright? Not that Walkie's paying any attention. Oh, kids. Bazoy! Chinese characters like egg was a fly idea like 3,000 years ago, believe that! Man, you want to make it today, you gotta keep it real, you know what I'm saying? Yo, that's why I made the OG cracker, for real! I know it don't look like no cracker, G. What, you want me to call it the OG muffin? I don't know where all this talk about food is coming from. You ask me, there's only one food, and that's noodles. Noodles forever. I got a new one, too. See, this time, I just put a big chunk of salt in the bowl. Why pretend? Eldon's noodles is about the salt. Salt forever! My exceptionally inquisitive nature has won me unequivocal adoration of my department. You see, they used to call me Wesley Stinkler and Wesley Sticky Hands. But no longer. I have a new name, one that reflects my true academic nature. Wesley Sicko, reporting. Yes, curiosity is a sickness and I am the cure! I don't know how to thank you for all you've done. Light has returned to my life, and with it joy. I may have lost years, but I have gained a treasure. 2 treasures, in fact. I will think of them when I write my next song. Brush it, brush it, Brussel! Brush it, brush it, Brussel! Brush the kid back on the beat with another interview. How do I feel about how things turned out? No scoop yet, but journalists' confidence in mint condition. End quote! I've decided to keep painting. Originals only, of course.
I suppose I'll have to see a bit of the world outside to find what to paint. But I know there are good people out there now. I've met them. The door is open. The world is waiting. Thank you.